Hi, I'm from Awesome Training, and today I'm with Chris Finello. He's going to be telling us about insights from an autistic teacher. Could you tell us a little bit about what we can expect from your talk on the 15th?
Okay, yeah, well, like I said, I work in a school. I started off my professional life as a primary school teacher. Now I work in a school specifically for autistic students, which, as an autistic guy myself, it's basically the most rewarding kind of environment I've ever worked in. So a lot of my talk is going to be about talking about the teaching profession from a personal perspective as an autistic guy and a professional perspective as well. Obviously, a professional working with autistic students, and I do my best to cover both mainstream and special education environments. I started off teaching in primary, but then left when I realised how much mainstream education sucks.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But do you find it easier to kind of connect to students now, you know, that you
Absolutely.
understand them very well, that kind of problem?
Yeah, it's like
Um,
I'm one of the I'm one of the staff who doesn't have to pretend to find their jokes funny. Like, I actually do share their sense of humor, because they say, oh, autistic young people aren't very perceptive, and well, in all fairness, I certainly wasn't, but these students really are. They can absolutely tell the difference between someone who truly empathizes with them and someone who is just saying nice things. So it just feels like a natural place. It is really where my career should have been. I'm pretty sure it was heading towards special education, autism specific education all along. Just had to go through the days of primary school teaching first.
it sounds really interesting, though. And I suppose, can you tell us a little bit as well, maybe, like how you found the career that maybe suited you, or, you know, that you felt, okay, this is for me?
Yeah, I I really don't like the fact this is about society in general. I don't like the fact that uh, young people and teenagers in particular are expected to just know what they want to do for the rest of their lives. When I've got people in the friends in their 40s and 50s who have changed career and were extremely glad to do so. But uh, I knew at the age of 14 that I wanted to spend the rest of my life as a primary school teacher. I did have this ridiculous pie in the sky dream of, well, maybe I'll become a writer one day, like an author. Maybe I'll publish books. But no, I'm going to stick with the sensible option and just become a primary school teacher. At the age of 29, I kind of fell out of love with the teaching profession and decided, well, uh, I don't really want to do this anymore. And I ended up becoming a writer, like by profession. I actually I'm both an author of a bunch of novel series about neurodiverse heroes, and thanks to patron supporters, I get to write for the internet for a living, and it's actually a job. So it's amazing, really. I did not see my life going this kind of direction, but I see it as a reflection of how many people want to learn about autism, especially from autistic people, and how there are many people out there who do want to support autistic advocates. So it's quite humbling, really, and it gives me reason to be quite optimistic about the neurodiversity movement in general.
Okay, brilliant. And you have your own blog as well, Autistic Not Weird. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and like what kind of work we can find by you there?
Yeah. When I was a primary school teacher, I basically kept my autism a very closely guarded secret for quite a long while. So after I left mainstream, I decided the natural next step was to just tell the whole internet. So, yeah, this was kind of like the first step to me actually becoming a writer. Decided to launch this website, and I was very conscious of the amount of good that I was not doing by keeping my autism a secret. There was this one year right in the middle of my years as a primary school teacher, where I worked in a special school, and I began to open up about being autistic because the staff there could just tell I was autistic anyway, so it wasn't much of a secret. So I started talking to the students about autism from an adult's perspective, and after I left teaching forever, I thought, I'm basically wasting a bunch of insights that I could be sharing. So I thought, yeah, let's do it. So I launched Autistic Not Weird, and it's gone slightly well. The 5.5 years on, the Facebook page has 127,000 followers and the website has had 2.5 million page hits. And that wasn't the plan. I did not set out to have that many people reading my stuff. But again, more than anything else, I see it as a reflection of how many people want to learn about autism from autistic people.
Okay, that's brilliant. And can you tell us like a little bit more about your own backstory?
My own backstory, in what sense?
I suppose more about like you, like your own journey.
Okay. So, yep, I was very clearly the weird kid while I was growing up. In fact, it pretty much said it on the EdPsych assessment forms. I was assessed for autism at the age of 4, but it was 1989. We'd only just seen the film Rain Man, so that's kind of how far back in time it was. And no, definitely wasn't autistic back then. How can he possibly be autistic? He can talk. He can go to the toilet by himself. He doesn't have severe and complex learning difficulties. I was then assessed again at the age of 10. It was 1995. There was still very little widespread knowledge of autism. So it, I read the report at the age of 30. It was a very bittersweet read. It wrote down all of the traits of Asperger's syndrome as it eventually became known as, and all these things are so familiar to us today. And it's summed it up as, by the way, this is a direct quote from a professional educational psychologist. Christopher has a slightly odd personality. But yeah, you could get away with writing that stuff in 1995. But when I tell people about that, I tell them that one real positive they take from that is, have you ever noticed you have never met anyone who claims to be completely normal, bog standard, average, boring? I then say, well, maybe it's just me because I've spent most of my life around teachers, but every adult I says things like, oh, I'm slightly odd, I'm a little bit weird, but I'm the guy who literally has it in writing from a professional. So I eventually did get my diagnosis at the age of, sorry, go on.
Sorry, that's so terrible. They shouldn't be allowed right there.
Yeah, and when I eventually, I was 24 when I found out as autistic, 25 when I got the diagnosis, and yeah, it did a lot in terms of helping me to make peace with who I was, and it helped me to realize I wasn't the wrong kind of person just because everyone else was different to me. And yeah, by the way, it's not me who's different to everyone else, it's everyone else who's different to me because I have my own perspective as well, and it's completely valid. But yeah, beyond that, yeah, I'll say the background to the diagnosis was basically life was really miserable in my early mid-20s when I was chronically unemployed, failing interviews left, right, and centre because I didn't know how the game worked in terms of passing job interviews. So yeah, the diagnosis helped a lot. It took me a few years to properly process it and start to see myself by my strengths rather than see myself by my weaknesses. But yeah, that's one of the first bits of advice I give to autistic people. You're going to have strengths, you're going to have weaknesses, but life is a lot better if you are aware of both, but define yourself by your strengths.